If you're a frequent PNW Haunts and Homicides listener, you probably already know we're Birdie ambassadors.
We wanted to take a quick moment to tell you a little bit more about this awesome product.
Birdie is the modern personal safety alarm made for women by women.
In a situation where you feel threatened or unsafe, you can simply activate Birdie's loud siren and flashing light to create a diversion.
Birdie is perfect to carry anytime because the device is lightweight and comes in a variety of colors.
So important. Use our ambassador link and coupon code PNW Haunts and Homicides to receive 10% off your purchase. Like our social media handles, the coupon code is all spelled out, no special characters.
You can find the link and promo code in our show notes or PNW Haunts and Homicides link tree.
Have a safe ass day.
Caitlin.
Hi, Cassie.
Hi, creepy people. This is PNW Haunts and Homicides.
It is.
We are coming to you from separate locations today because one of us may or may not have gotten the Rona.
No.
Spoiler alert, it was Cassie.
Yeah. And we hate it because I want to see you. And
I know. It's not the same through a screen. It's really not.
No, it's not. Well, especially when we started the video and our new fancy pants devices were like, nope, no video.
Caitlin was having all of the technical difficulties, and I'm pretty sure it was her ghost fucking with her, but you know,
I think so.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah,
Or
actually.
is it a story for today?
No, I was going to say that's an excellent segue because
Oh, perfect.
I've been wanting to tell you about this.
Uh-oh.
But I was like, I'm not going to tell the story twice because I won't do it justice more than once.
Oh, no.
It's so freaky. So
we get story time?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to put my cards down and get my tea. And
take a little sip.
Ready for the tea.
Wet your whistle. Okay, so Chris was telling me, I think I've told this story on the pod before already, but I had a weird what the fucking out of the shower because the ghost was opening doors and such. And he had a similar experience, except this time the ghost closed a door. And the way that this door closed, there's just no way that, like, somebody would have to physically have closed it. It couldn't have been one of the dogs because, first of all, they weren't in the room.
Oh.
And yeah, then he got out of the shower because he hears this door closing, and it's very distinctly our door. It's not a noise from upstairs or anything like that. And he gets out and the door's open again.
Oh. Huh.
And I was like, okay, that's weird. I've had some experiences here. Like, there's definitely weirdness. We know that. It's been established. Everybody is very, very aware. But that night, we went to get into bed. And we're laying in bed. We've got our space heater on in the bedroom. And the TV started like flashing, which has happened now a couple of times. And the TV's not old. It's not going out. I was like, oh, that's weird. It's definitely Mercury and retrograde right now. Then the space heater spontaneously, and I'm telling you, this happened like 10 times. This is a button that you have to physically push. We don't have a remote for it. Nothing.
Oh,
You
my
have to
gosh.
physically push this button for the space heater to turn on, and it spontaneously turned on and off in short succession, like 10 times.
Oh
And
my God.
Chris and I are laying there in bed, and that was the first time I've seen the look on his face. Like, I can't in any way, shape, or form explain that. And after that is when he told me that he'd had that experience in the shower. And he holds back these stories from me sometimes because he doesn't want to scare me. And he's like, the lease is coming up. We could always move. And I think he's really like getting to the point where now he can't even keep it a secret when some of this stuff happens. And like his response is very genuine. And I can tell that he's like, nope, science doesn't have an answer for that. So we unplugged that space heater and just cranked up the heat out in the rest of the apartment and left the door open and just like huddled together for warmth. But I was like, that's just super creepy. Like, I have no way of explaining that. And we're like, we got to keep this space heater unplugged because electrical fires,
That's
joke.
Dangerous. Was it the TV in your bedroom that was flickering or the one in the living room?
It was the one in our bedroom.
And that's like in the same-ish area.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. And they happened within just a few minutes of each other. But it wasn't like, we were having lights flashing like, when like sometimes the power's about to go out and you get that flicker. No. Nope.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So when are y'all moving?
Yeah, I don't know.
Found a place?
We are definitely going to look at some options, but we haven't decided for sure if we actually want to move or... Because, we've talked about the apartment seems like it's kind of a ghostly bus station. And sometimes the ghosts aren't that bad. Sometimes they're not so bad. But other times they are very menacing. So it's like, I don't know. Do we want to continue to get this like luck of the draw?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Be careful.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
We bought a new space heater. It's lovely. It does have a remote, so we can crank the heat from the convenience of our bed.
That's great.
Yeah. It's very
Something
quiet.
good came out of it.
Yeah.
Maybe the ghost was like, you know what? She could use a new space heater, so we're going to fuck with this one.
Let me help you upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing.
Sorry, I keep doing the throat clearing thing.
The cloat.
Throat clearing thing. I'll try to keep that to a minimum.
I mean, there's only so much you can do.
I know. Look at this card that is on the bottom when I've shuffled a million times. The one I always get.
That is so weird. Okay, if we draw Seriously, if we draw Ace of Potions today, it is over. We're throwing that card away.
I know.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay, I'm going to shuffle that bad boy back in here because I don't want that. Okay, so I've been shuffling for a while now. I'm going to go ahead and do the pull. We're just asking for... You know what? I've seen a lot of people knock on the cards before they do the pull. I've seen that a lot recently. So I'm going to copy everyone. And I'm going to start doing that shit.
Do it. Do it.
We're just asking for deeper insight on the case topic for today. Cutting. And we got 2 of potions.
Always with this potions.
2 of potions. All right. So 2 of cups is what that is in a normal deck.
Was it in the reverse?
Nope.
Okay. Well,
it was right side up. I'm going to go ahead and find it in the little book too while you're finding it in the big one. Okay, upright. You're in complete harmony with someone special in your life, whether this is a work-related partnership, romantic relationship, or a friendship. It's a positive for both of you. Be sure to stay supportive of each other. This connection has major potential growth. literally has nothing to do with the case. Let's see what the other book has to say.
Well, and what's interesting is we definitely got the translation right. Like potions is definitely cups, because if you look at this, the interpretation is like there's even like the exact same keywords on some stuff, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what the larger like interpretation says.
Okay.
And it shows it in different applications, like romantic, work, whatever. So maybe something will resonate there.
Maybe.
So 2 of Cups, the keywords are partnership, harmony, creative exchange, cooperation. In many decks, the 2 of Cups shows a man and a woman holding chalices as if toasting each other. The card represents joining forces with someone, either romantically or in a creative or spiritual endeavor. You share a common dream, interest, or passion and can work together to bring it into being. Mutual respect and equality exist between you. So the upright 2 indicates a period of harmony when things go smoothly between you and another person.
This is literally not at all.
Okay. I feel like something in the other applications is gonna make sense. We'll see. I don't know. It says, I think of this as the honeymoon card. When you have high hopes and experience a time of accord, optimism, inspiration, and goodwill. In a reading about money, the upright 2 suggests a financial partnership or merging your resources with someone else's for future gain, mutual gain. It can also mean financial support comes from a partner or backer. If the reading is about your job, this card describes a partnership that benefits both people. You inspire one another and enjoy working together. It can also represent cooperation and creative collaboration in your workplace. In a reading about love, the 2 upright symbolizes a happy relationship that's developing smoothly. You understand each other's needs and bring out the best in one another. This card shows harmony, balance, and mutual respect between 2 parties. There is a little extra blurb in here for this card as well. So I can read this, but I'm wondering,
I think we should pull another card.
Is this like, does this pertain to like prior to whatever we're talking about today? Like, is this like it used to be happy maybe? And
I mean, kind of.
I don't know anything about the case, but like, is that, I wonder if that's
sort of, but not like, it's not satisfying to me. I feel like we should pull another. You finish the thing and then we'll do another one, and then if it ends up relating at the end, we can always go back. But
okay, so here's an interesting thought. I heard basically people were on this Facebook group that I follow for tarot, and there were people asking like, hey, I'm sick right now, and somebody asked me to do a tarot reading. Do you guys do readings when you're sick, or do you wait until you feel better before you read cards? So now I'm almost like, if this feels that off for you, well, I'm wondering, I'm like, I mean, could it be that simple that just like your energy is drained?
Maybe.
Okay, let's read this part. I don't think it's going to convince you that this fits anymore. But according to the International Handbook on Alcohol and Culture, raising glasses in a toast recalls the ancient tradition of offering sacred libations to the goddesses and gods in hopes of receiving favors from them. The Greek god Dionysus and his Roman counterpart Bacchus are perhaps the best known wine drinking deities, whatever you like. But mythology also raises its glass to the Zulu fertility goddess, and I was not prepared at all to read this name. It's beautiful, but I won't butcher it. The Sumerian beer goddess Ninkasi, which explains a lot.
Yeah, it does.
The African party girl goddess Yasigi. Oh, she's my hero.
I like her.
And Succulus, the Celtic god of alcoholic drinks, or Celtic. I've heard people say it both ways. I've always heard Celtic, and then recently someone said, no, it's Celtic. And I'm like, are you sure?
Don't know.
I don't
I
think
have
so.
no idea.
Yeah. Well, anywho, I don't think that convinced us that this reading feels okay.
And I think that was a sick reading. I think it's but you don't know what the case is about, so
I don't, but
that's fine. I think that's fine. I'll just focus really hard on it and see if you pick up my mental waves, because I know people do this through Zoom and shit.
Yeah, absolutely. This is interesting. I feel like we've never had a reading that has felt this off.
That off, yeah.
So that makes me wonder, like, I almost want to share with, the listeners that it's like, we really like felt like this affected you, because I heard people commenting on all ends of the spectrum as far as like, do you do readings when you're sick or not? But most people were like, no, I wouldn't do it. Wait till you're better. So that
makes sense.
I feel like it does. Oh my gosh. We're going to cut let's see. I have 5 of Pentacles.
5 of Pentacles.
Yeah, so let's see what we get there.
Okay.
Oh, for the love of... Okay. So, 5 of Pentacles. The keywords are poverty, disappointment, loss, lack, restriction, disorder, and worry.
This is much better.
Okay. I think you mean worse.
Well, it's worse, but...
All right. This says, often this card depicts a couple or a family in an attitude of humility, poverty, or hardship. Their desperation and suffering are evident. Yeah, because this looks really sad here. I'll show you the card.
Oh my God.
They're like struggling in the snow and...
It has snow on it? You're fucking kidding me right now.
No.
Let me see this card.
You see?
Oh my God.
Oh God, you gave me the chills.
I literally have I'm tingling from the tip of my head to my little tootsies.
Oh my gosh. Now you're freaking me out. That's okay. So
this is way better.
So now we know you literally,
you
got to wait until you're all better to do the tarot.
That's good to know. Okay. I need to catch my breath.
Oh my gosh. So both of these cards, the images are really similar between the traditional deck and our modern witch one. So the remaining description of the physical image in the card itself holds true for both of my decks. It says sometimes a stained glass church window appears above them, which indicates emphasizing spiritual values over material ones. It says in the upright, I think of this as the need card. You're in a pinch and need help. Don't be too proud to ask for it. Usually the 5 of Pentacles represents financial need, although it may point to a health issue or a disappointment in another physical area. Sometimes it suggests you're not using your resources wisely. You may not even be aware of your potential. Oh God.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Keep reading.
Okay, in a reading about money, the 5 points to losses, financial woes, debt, and feelings of desperation. However, it can also indicate paring down your lifestyle and assessing what's really important. Perhaps spiritual things mean more to you than material ones. If the reading is about your job, you may feel financially strapped because you're not earning enough to pay the bills. Hello. Work-related responsibilities may drain your vitality. Maybe it's time to look for a better job. In a reading about love, the 5 of Pentacles can mean a relationship is draining your energy. You're investing a lot and not getting much in return. This card suggests emotional poverty, limitations, and unhappiness.
Aww.
Wow. Soup's dark.
Yeah, it's a dark story, you guys. It's not going to be Like the normal, fun, oh, ghosts. Like, it's going to get a little heavy, so.
Okay. I guess
so
we're ready.
Yeah, are we? I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Cassie, I'm just like, this is the first time we've ever really done this where we felt like the reading just didn't quite sit right. And now, wow, this is interesting though.
Yeah. I cannot believe there is snow on that card.
There's a lot of snow, like a lot.
You guys are going to freak out. You're going to freak out.
Well, I always freak out, so nobody's surprised by that.
Okay, so are you ready to get into this shit?
I guess. Now I'm kind of scared. I'm glad
me
it's
too.
daylight still. I hope.
So we got this suggestion from none other than a fellow creepy person.
Yay!
Yeah, I know. It's so exciting. Her name is Laura, and she sent us her personal experience at this place that we're going to be talking about today. And I just want to say this is super exciting for us. This is our very first story that someone has sent us that we're reading on the podcast.
Their personal story.
Yeah, personal story. Yeah. And we've had a couple interviews and things that were personal stories, but this is the first one that we're going to be like reading from an email. Oh, it's so exciting. Yeah. Which brings me to like a very quick aside. We've been hoarding a few stories in our email and stuff. We're planning to do like our first episode where we don't tell like a specific story, but we just read like stories that all you creepy people sent us, whether they're like true crime stories, whether they're ghost stories, whether they're spiritual, anything. So we're hoarding a couple of those. We got some stuff planned. So if you want us to keep doing those types of episodes, if you want to be featured on the show, please send us those emails. I don't care if it's like a sentence or 1,000 sentences long.
Yeah.
We want to hear it, and we want everyone else to hear it. So pnwhauntsandhomicides@gmail.com, all spelled out, no special characters.
It's super easy peasy. Super duper.
Super duper.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Get it right. God.
I know. Well, here's the thing is I'm very excited about this because I do get some emails with different case suggestions and whatnot. You're less likely, I think, hopefully, to get too many personal stories about people from a true crime perspective.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But I think it's really fun for us to hear your ghosty stories. And let's be honest, we've told you a few of ours. So, you know, share
it's
the
only
love.
fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
And send us your suggestions too. It doesn't have to be. And also just, you can send us an email telling us how much you love us too. Like, we're not going to say no to that. So.
Oh, absolutely not. No, we want those as well.
Yeah. And you can always remain anonymous if you prefer. Just let us know.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Onward, I wrote, because I think you said that in one of the episodes recently. Onward.
Yes. Mush.
Oh, more snow. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the suggestion we got from Laura is for a hiking trail in Stevens Pass in the Central Cascades. It's about 75 miles east of Seattle near Skycomish, Washington.
Sounds beautiful.
Skycomish? Did I say that right?
I think so.
Okay.
How's it spelled?
So I listened to the whole book and that's how they said it. So, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it's right. Which brings me, she also suggested a book that gives some of the history of this area because we definitely need the history.
Absolutely.
This is PNW Haunts, Homicides, and History, if you didn't know. We changed the name. No. The book is called The White Cascade by Gary Christ.
So there's some snow or?
There might be. We'll see.
Huh. Okay.
This is a pretty unique hiking trail because its path is the old Great Northern Railroad.
What?
Yeah. So there's no tracks or anything anymore, but actually at some points you can see like kind of off the trail old railroad spikes and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, there was one like blog website I saw, and she had a bunch of pictures of that. So that was pretty cool to see.
Well, we know nothing good seems to happen on these old abandoned railroads.
Right? Yeah. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, I'm immediately getting like a Tunnel 13 vibe.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Chris is going to be excited for this one.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's not like grand like robbery or anything. But,
Yeah. That's okay. We can just, you know, the robberies, we can leave that out today.
I know. So there's actually a lot of old tunnels around and stuff too, but they're kind of like caved in and they're super dangerous. So like, don't go in them. They have signs and stuff. So like, yeah, just don't go in there.
it.
There's also like big giant concrete snow sheds that they built, and those were supposed to help protect the tracks from any snow slides. These concrete sheds are still there, but they weren't built until after what is known as the Wellington disaster.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm just going to get into it.
Oh.
So, high up on the mountain on March 1st, 1910, at 1:42 a.m., a 10-acre, almost concrete-like slab of snow broke free in a thunderstorm, causing a massive avalanche that ran through the small train depot town of Wellington. It bulldozed into 2 trains that had been stranded on the tracks for 6 days.
Oh my gosh, they're just sitting ducks.
They were. And the book says these trains were, quote, entombed in snow. So they were basically sitting there in this snowstorm, just getting covered in snow.
Oh, that's awful.
These snowstorm conditions were unprecedented. No one had ever really seen a storm like this before. It was pretty crazy the way they described it. It was actually like all over the Pacific Northwest. Like this storm was just pummeling everybody.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So this sent the 2 trains plummeting 150 feet down into the Ty River Valley. One of these trains was a fast mail car, and the other held about 125. Oh my God, I'm crying.
No.
It held 125 sleeping passengers.
Oh my God.
This was to be the deadliest avalanche in American history. What the fuck is wrong with me? God. I get soft when I'm sick, apparently.
I know. The Rona makes you feel extra vulnerable.
Yeah. So the snow on the card is just like...
Oh my God. Yeah.
Nuts.
Now it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. God, I don't even like do this with your cases.
I know. My God. Well, you warned me that this one was really sad.
And like the book, it just like details everything, and yeah, it's crazy. I'm going to get into some of it, unfortunately. So 96 men, women, and children horrifically and tragically lost their lives in this disaster. Miraculously, whoever was around in the town jumped to action, and they were able to rescue 23 survivors from the train debris.
Wow. The fact that anyone survived at all.
I know. That's crazy.
Insane.
I'm actually going to go into some of the ways that avalanches typically kill people, so you can kind of get a sense of how crazy it was that there were any survivors.
Oh.
Yeah. So with avalanches, 1/3 of the deaths are usually trauma-related, like collisions with trees and rocks and any debris. The majority die from suffocating, either from snow covering their airways or from snow becoming so packed down on their chest that they can't breathe.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Even more horrific. This one is just, it's awful. So when the snow covering the face melts from like your body temperature, it then refreezes, forming like an ice mask that restricts your breathing.
No.
Isn't that terrible?
That's horrific.
It's so gross.
Why?
It's so bad. Nature. Like, oh my God. How is anybody alive, honestly?
Seriously.
Only 1 in 10 survive longer than a few hours. The fact that these avalanche deaths also involved a train meant that a lot of people were also dismembered from all of the, metal and shit.
Oh, good God. Of course they were.
Or were burned from the train's engines, which even though they weren't moving, they were on to like keep everybody warm and like keep the snow melting and stuff around them. So,
oh my God. I'm really glad that we're not doing like a video right now.
I know.
My face is just
mine too.
Oh my God.
I hope you guys are okay. Like,
Yeah.
I hope people listen, and because the end is good. If you wanted to skip to the end, it's fine. Okay. So this train did create a lot of air pockets, though, and that's actually how people were able to survive a little longer, because they were, in something, and if it didn't completely break apart, there was a little pocket for you to be able to breathe and stuff.
That makes sense. I mean, that can happen where there's a temporary air pocket, even like if you're sinking underwater.
Yeah.
Ugh. Not to make this any worse.
Well, later, I'm like, this totally gives me like Titanic vibes.
Yes. No, that's why that kind of popped into my head when you're saying about the air pockets.
Yeah. Ugh. Okay. So I'm going to give a little trigger warning, which I don't usually do because usually my stuff isn't this bad, but this one's pretty bad. So this kind of involves children, specifically babies. So if you would not like to hear about this, skip forward
2 minutes.
I'll be back in
2 minutes.
I know, she's going to leave. Okay. The book talks about a lot of the passengers, but I wanted to tell you one story in particular because I think it truly shows how horrible this accident was and how like the heaviness that there was, at the time and could still remain there today. A lot of bad energy. So
yeah.
The last of the survivors to be rescued, her name was Ida Starrett, who had been sadly widowed just weeks before.
No.
Yeah. She was trapped approximately 11 hours, which if you remember from the stats before, people don't survive longer than a few hours in an avalanche typically.
Right.
Yeah. She was pinned beneath some heavy debris, and her infant baby Francis was trapped alive beneath her. Yeah. She tried to move. She tried to reach the baby, but she was just in immense pain and she could not budge this heavy debris that was holding her down. She could feel the baby breathing under her, but she couldn't move.
Oh.
I know. Sometime before rescuers could get to her, baby Francis passed away. This poor woman. I just can't. It's so sad. I'm sorry. I don't even like babies. I know.
Oh my God. But just to like hear your baby, stop breathing, Well, good thing we don't have to be pretty for this one.
I know. Okay. It gets a little better from here, guys. Maybe a little scarier later on, but not as sad. So bodies were found as deep as 40 feet in the snow, but weather conditions made it impossible to recover the rest until the end of July, 21 weeks after the avalanche.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I did find a really cool detail from the book, though. This is really cool. So undertakers from Butterworth and Sons from Seattle, which we talked about in the Pike Place episode, they actually hiked up there to help recover bodies.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's sad, but like, it's
something
cool that someone we've talked about before, went up and did that. I thought that was really cool.
Well, and it's a nice thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did this happen?
Great Northern... I need answers.
Answers. The Great Northern Railway spent millions of dollars. They were constantly upgrading the railroad to make sure it held up through the mountain pass. So literally right before this disaster, I think like the day before. It was right before. So the Great Northern announced their plans to spend $2.5 million to upgrade railroads against slides.
Wow. I mean,
I think it was like those big concrete snow sheds because they were just made of wood before, and they helped, but they weren't,
it's not enough.
It's not concrete. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is literally an Alanis Morissette song. Like, isn't it ironic?
Seriously. I was just going to say, it's like, it's just too little too late, you know?
Mm-hmm. That
Wow.
kind of reminds me of the card too. Didn't you say at one point like resources aren't being used appropriately or something?
Yeah. There's definitely kind of some messaging to that effect. So I'm going to be really interested to go back to the card after you give us the full story.
There's a lot too that I didn't put in here.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I'll remember some of it when we go to talk about it.
We've got another promo roll that we are really excited to share today.
Sister, I'm Devin.
I'm Audie.
And we recap true crime documentaries.
Yeah, we're a true crime comedy podcast because, you need some laughter when you're dealing with some terrible bullshit.
How are you going to talk about serial killers without, roasting them in between?
Oh, yeah, so we deem people soggy bowls of cereal.
Sometimes a wet sock. We're here to cover true crime big and small.
From Abducted in Plain Sight,
Lesbian vampire killers,
The Woman Who Wasn't There,
and Tiger King.
we have it all. We shit on all of them.
What you want? Serial killers, embezzlement, fraud? We've got it covered.
Even some art theft here and there.
Join the banter between us, two sisters that can sometimes hate each other.
Sometimes.
But overall, choose to spend our time entertaining you guys with the crazy documentaries we watched the night before.
And to bring more awareness.
Join us every week for a new episode of
Serial
Sisters! Available everywhere you get your podcasts. You can find us at Serial Sisters. That's Sisters with 3 A's. Sistaas. You guys, we're back!
Like I said, this storm was really bad. A 14-year veteran of the Cascade Division said that this was the worst storm he'd ever seen.
Wow.
That's saying something. 14 years.
Right, yeah.
Working on the mountains. Yeah.
He's got a little experience.
Yeah, a little bit. So they really weren't dealing with conditions they'd ever seen before. They weren't used to. With slides happening all over the area, they were really stretched thin on resources.
Yeah.
Very thin. They were running out of coal to run the plows. There were rail workers on strike at that point. The telegraphs went down. So shit just kept going wrong, one after the other, and it became impossible to dig the snow that was stuck on the tracks. It was impossible to dig them free. At one point, I think that they were they could have moved it into a nearby tunnel, but the passengers I think it was the passengers, they didn't want to be in a tunnel. They thought it was like dark and scary and claustrophobic in there, and they thought maybe they could get trapped in the tunnel.
I mean, that's a pretty good point too. I mean,
yeah,
it's possible, I suppose.
So they really, for whatever reason, thought that it would be safer to leave them on the edge of a cliff, basically.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, and I don't know how far it was from the actual cliff. I know that the avalanche really pushed it down. So I don't know if they thought that, that was really a possibility.
I'm sure they weren't thinking that this historic storm is gonna, have them held there, for that long. And they're not thinking, oh, this, incredibly wild chain of events this avalanche is going to push this over the side. You're never thinking that.
And the book goes into it. They were really worried about a slide because they could see this big heavy slab of snow up on the mountain. So they were actually running out of food to this small town. I mean, it was just there basically as a train stop. It wasn't like a real town.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, lack of resources.
Running out of food. People were getting restless. They were getting train cabin fever, if you will.
Seriously.
And a passenger named Anna Gray even wrote that we knew we were in a death trap. So they definitely knew that something really bad could happen.
Yeah.
Anna Gray actually survived. Her and her whole family survived, which is great.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
To have a whole family that comes out the other side. Wow.
Yeah, that's what the book said too. They were like, it's just unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, what?
The passengers actually planned to leave on foot in the morning, the night of the avalanche. They were going to hike out of there. They'd actually been petitioning to do that, but they were, the people in charge were saying it was too dangerous.
And they're like, we don't care.
Yeah, they're like, I mean, pick one. And it was pretty treacherous getting down, but someone actually had done it the day before, testing it out. And he came back, he climbed down the mountain, came back up and told them that it was safe, that they could go because the telegraphs were down. He couldn't, telegraph to them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so they were going to leave in the morning. The book is really, really great. He paints the whole picture of who these people were, what the times were back then. He goes into some of the detail of that. A lot about the history of just the railroad and trains. He uses letters and diary entries and first-hand accounts of the survivors in his book too. So
that's cool.
Really get a lot of insider details.
Yeah, definitely.
And he does go into a man named Jim O'Neill. His middle name's not Jim. He just goes by Jim.
I was going to say that's, I don't know about all that.
He was the Cascade Division Railway Superintendent at the time. When he was conductor, he earned when he was a train conductor, he earned a reputation of keeping trains on time no matter the weather.
Wow.
Yeah, so it does go a lot into him and how he was actually trying to get these trains out because of the mail car. The fast mail car, because that was a lot of money just sitting there and contracts were at stake. And yeah.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, he didn't want to see anybody die, but the real main focus was that dang mail car.
Right.
Yeah.
Just so we're all clear, it's capitalism at work here.
Yeah. And they even had a trial to see if he or the railroad, what the fuck was it called? The Great Northern.
Oh yeah. No, the company.
Yeah, the company, to see if any of them were to blame for the accident.
Right. You got to see if there's any wrongdoing on their part.
Yeah. Ultimately, they decided it was just a series of unfortunate events that they couldn't control.
I mean, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a toss-up. Him and his team were even known for their ability to handle massive snowfalls.
Oh,
so
wow.
This just really shows this storm was crazy.
Yeah.
That all of these people who were used to it just couldn't get it figured out.
It's nobody could have prepared them to deal with this.
And the trial part is very interesting. So you'll get all of the details on what they did do to get the trains out, what they didn't do. And it's really important, I think, how they treated the victims in the aftermath. They didn't treat them very well. So.
Oh, no. Okay. I totally thought that was going to go the other way because. Okay. Well, I'm an optimist and also an idiot.
This massive tragedy that these people had to face, and they pretty much didn't get anything out of it.
Wow.
There's maybe a little money thrown at it, but not what it should have been.
Oh, wow. Okay. So.
Yeah. So Wellington actually changed their name to Thai as to not be associated with the tragedy. So people wouldn't know, when they were stopped at this train depot, that this was the famous Wellington disaster.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's an early version of rebranding.
Mm-hmm. It totally is.
That's really, I don't
It's icky.
care for that. Yeah, it's icky. Exactly.
But they actually did, I think, like in 1929, they put a tunnel through, like straight through the mountains. So it just closed down all of the train depots and stuff that were up there. So that's how it's a trail now.
Okay.
So parts of the wreckage are actually still down in the ravine. And they have like a list of names of the dead down there as well. And you can take like a rope up and down there.
I was going to say, I feel like, is there, something that's kind of a memorial?
I think that's it.
Now.
There's signs all over the trail. I know there might be a sign at the Wellington Depot. I don't know for sure. But I know that there's like not really like a big... Like, I think there should be a big, like, nice memorial up on the trail.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I didn't see that there was one. It's actually really cool because there's a YouTube video I'll link for you guys that it shows them going down and using the rope and, like, seeing the train parts. So it's really just, like, Titanic vibes, like, for real, because it's, like, this wreckage just left there for people to go and, like... Obviously, it's easier to get to than the Titanic, but...
Well, yeah, just slightly.
Yeah. And that happened 2 years later. So this was 1910. Titanic was 1912.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
So crazy.
Traveling was real sketch.
Yeah. Okay, so before I get into some of like what other people's experience were here, I wanted to read Laura's wonderful email for everybody. Oh, I'm so excited. So Laura says, "Hello, wonderful women." Hello, Laura.
Hello.
I have been listening and enjoying your podcast from day one. I live in the Seattle area, love spooky podcasts, and was so happy when I found your amazing show. Yes, I'm going to read this whole thing, you guys.
Okay, let's do it.
You two are insightful, hilarious, and share great stories and history. It is so obvious how much work you two put into researching each and every show. Thank you so much. We like literally cried when we read this email. Like,
yeah.
Oh, she's so sweet.
Definitely. And it's
We do
not
work
even
hard.
Yeah, we do. And I was just going to say, it's not even just the research for each case either, but we spend a lot of time on trying to put some interesting stuff to go along with each case for the social media. And now we spent a huge amount of time today just trying to figure out how to set up our new equipment to make the like audio and the video better. And we're like, all right, well, that's a fail. Moving on.
We'll get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she goes on to suggest that we cover the Iron Goat Trail and tells us a little bit about the disaster. And of course, to suggest the book. I'm not going to read all that stuff because I literally just went over it.
Yeah, that's
but
fair.
She goes on to say this trail is haunted as fluff.
I love it.
Fluff. There are many encounters of hikers encountering eerie sounds, mist, and an overall feeling of grief, which is like, yeah. That's why I went into all that stuff, just so you could feel like the grief.
No kidding.
You're welcome. I had never heard this story until I read the above book. We lived close to the trail and decided to check it out one sunny summer day 5 years ago. When I went, I had no idea it was haunted. My hubs, our 14-year-old son, and I were eager to explore the trail because it was said to be easy and beautiful, which I've heard in a lot of comments.
Yeah.
Easy and beautiful. After being on the trail, we were surprised at how icy and cold it was. It was sunny, yet the trail was freezing. I only lasted about 20 minutes because I experienced only what I can explain as a full-out panic attack. I started to cry, shake, and just needed to get the fluff out of there.
Oh, the fluff.
My hubs thought I had finally flipped, but he reluctantly agreed to leave. The hubs.
Husbands, am I right?
I literally ran back to the parking lot. Oh my gosh. On the way home, all of my panic subsided and I began to feel embarrassed about my reaction and behavior. until my son casually mentioned he didn't mind leaving because the crying animal sounds were giving him the creeps.
What?
He then asked my hubs which animals he thought might have made those sounds. My hubs answered he didn't know. He didn't...
Because they're not animals.
He didn't answer because he hadn't heard anything, but figured it was because I was having a panic. My son was trying to imitate what he had heard, apparently very clearly. It wasn't until we were home when my husband asked me if I had heard anything, because to him, the trail had been eerily silent. No sounds of birds, bugs, or even other hikers.
That's creepy too.
Yeah.
Either way, I don't like it.
No. After this experience, I Googled Iron Goat Trail and learned it was one of the most haunted locations in the PNW.
Yeah.
Sorry for the long email, but I do think you both might enjoy the Iron Goat Trail story and lore. You two are the best. Thank you for your wonderful podcast, Laura.
Aw.
Thank you,
Laura,
so
we love
much.
you. And we enjoyed this story. But I don't think I'll be enjoying that trail anytime soon.
I know. I was like, I kind of want to go, but I feel like you couldn't handle it because you're so spongy.
Don't know. Yeah, I'm very spongy.
Yeah.
They call me Bob.
So super crazy that her son heard what he thought was little animal noises, and the dad was like, nah, it was totally silent.
Yeah, those are very different experiences.
Oh, super weird. So now I want to get into some of the things I found for haunting that she no doubt went home and read after that.
I bet, yeah. Immediately.
So inside the tunnel on the trail, hikers have reported hearing screaming and other sounds coming from inside.
My face right now.
She's
okay.
like, some people felt like they've been touched.
No,
Others,
no touching, please.
Others feel an eerie, heavy feeling or get like chills or feel cold spots. Some have even seen full apparitions.
Cold spots, though. That's the thing that gets me. I'm just sitting here like that card that we ended up pulling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah, totally. Like cold spots is a pretty common thing, but it's a little different when you're dealing with a tragedy that was like in snow or something that was cold, like
directly caused by an avalanche. Like, yeah, that feels different. It hits different.
And although like a lot of people say like, oh, why are people hearing things in the tunnel? Like it didn't happen in the tunnel. I don't know. Maybe they're hiding in there. Maybe they're like stuck and they're like, oh, we saw the avalanche. We're going to go hide in the tunnel. I don't know.
Well, and I feel like we've talked about this before where just because there's not the same structure on a property where something took place doesn't mean that like other parts of just a physical ground doesn't absorb that energy.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The surrounding area might very well have some form of, disturbance or presence.
Something. Or it could be something completely different. It could be a dang old demon up in that tunnel. We don't know.
Yeah.
Don't go in there.
Don't go in the tunnel.
That should be one of our catchphrases.
Yeah.
Don't go in the tunnel.
Don't be messing with tunnels, y'all. Fuck around and find out.
There's apparently a bridge near where the Wellington Depot used to be, and people claim to hear like rumbling and trees snapping and the sound of metal crushing, like there's a menacing like ghost avalanche going on.
Ooh.
Isn't that awful?
That's not great.
Yeah.
I don't
I'd
like
probably
that.
lose my mind if I heard that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Plus, screams have apparently been heard around the Ty River Gorge, and this is the site of the mishap, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really need to hear that.
I know. No. A couple people commented on ghostlyactivities.com with some of their experiences that super creeped me out. One was about someone who was recording themselves singing in the tunnels don't go in there. Okay.
Yeah.
They kept catching static on their recording device, and they were like, it's new, nothing's wrong with it, shouldn't be catching static.
So that might be the first sign that you should get out of the tunnel.
Yeah. And then friends took a photo of them recording in the tunnel and caught two like hazy masses on the photo. One was shaped like a human and was like bright blue standing right in front of them.
That is super creepy.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
The other mass.
Mm-hmm.
I think they said it was like a purpley haze like off on the corner of the photo.
That's weird. Just an amorphous blob.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
That's not actually better.
Yeah. I wish they would have posted the photo though, because I would like to see that.
Yeah.
And I think they took more photos when this person wasn't singing too, and those photos turned out clear. Like there was no hazy masses on them. It was just the one where they were singing, basically.
So they don't like it when you sing?
Or maybe they do. Maybe they're gathering around.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. It's
positive.
Yeah. Not necessarily always menacing, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully. They go on to say they had high anxiety all night and to definitely use like precaution when you go if you're sensitive or empathic. So some sort of protection with you, do something.
Or maybe just stay home.
Or just don't go. Yes.
Come hang out with me instead.
Cassie will be on the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
There's another comment from someone named Robert on the same website. I have done that trail. Still shaking every time I tell the story. I know why park rangers will not go up there at night. So many people. I know. They say that, and then there was another comment saying, no, like the park rangers do go up there.
I was going to say the park rangers probably, they're used to it.
I think so. And you're not allowed there at night. So I don't want people going up there at night thinking like no park rangers are going to be there, because they will. They'll get you.
Yeah, don't do that.
So many people died so fast, they think they are still alive. When you get to that creepy shelter, keep your eyes open and listen. I think they mean the tunnel that's like collapsed.
Oh, probably.
Or maybe one of the snow sheds. I don't think there's any like buildings. Anyway. Okay, this is creepy. If you hear that little girl screaming and crying, do not panic like I did trying to find her.
I don't care for that.
Yeah. She's been stuck in purgatory for 100 years. So sad, poor little girl. So there was actually a 3-year-old girl that passed. I'm not going to talk about what happened to her and like what state she was found in. You can read that in the book because I've had enough.
Oh, no.
That's a thing that actually happened, that this person experienced a little girl crying.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
It's very sad. One last thing, if you decide to visit, please be careful. I was reading about like rocks falling, bears being sighted on the trail.
No.
Bears, yes, on the trail.
Well, I'm out.
And I think the park rangers like put up signs if they do see a bear that day, letting you know, hey, there's a bear on the trail, like be careful.
Yeah, just a heads up, it's pretty berry today.
And there's actually still snow slides that do happen up there during the winter. So just do your research before you go. And I'm pretty sure like it's a mountain. So like winter lasts longer up there if you're going in like March. Like this avalanche happened in March. Like don't think it's, springtime. Yay, fun. There might still be snow up there in the dang summertime. So just so you guys know. And no tunnels. I know they look fun and inviting, but don't do it. Don't go in there. Ever.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't touch it.
And don't go alone. Do not go alone. Bring your birdie with you. Make sure you're safe.
100,000,000,000%.
Yeah. So I'm done with my part of the story if we want to talk about the tarot card that was spot on again.
Oh my God. I don't know if I can handle it.
It's
I was
crazy.
like, yeah.
I can't.
Okay, so I'm going to show you this card that I pulled again.
Oh my God.
Like, these people look like they are miserably trudging through the snow.
Yep. They are.
So
That is so crazy.
Feels pretty accurate.
I can't believe that. How many cards with snow on them are in that deck? Like, come on.
I mean, I would imagine maybe a handful at most. Often this card depicts a couple or a family in an attitude of humility, poverty, or hardship.
Hardship for sure.
Yeah. So here's kind of the interesting part that we got to in the like kind of body of the description. Usually the Five of Pentacles represents financial need, although it may point to a health issue or a disappointment in another physical area. Sometimes it suggests you're not using your resources wisely. You may not even be aware of your potential.
Yeah.
I feel like
they didn't know the storm was coming. They didn't know they were, by not like putting off this massive, what was it called?
Well, the improvement project.
Yeah, improvement.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's obviously they were foreseeing that there could be some sort of a accident or like, an injury if existing, infrastructure wasn't adequate. But I don't think there's any way they could have known it would have been quite at this level. But
yeah, and like normally if an avalanche would have gone over the tracks, like they have the plows, they can dig it out. I think what they were really thinking of was this like fast mail business that they were doing. Like it was really important for the mail to be on time. I think that was their big motivation.
Yeah, it absolutely. I'm going back to just the keywords because I think sometimes those are really enlightening and I just literally
I remember them.
Almost lost my breath. Poverty, disappointment, loss, lack, and Cassie, when you were talking about how the snow melts and then refreezes, restriction.
Oh.
People literally buried or
Yeah.
trapped by snow and debris
And poor Ida who was couldn't move.
Wow.
This card like really, really reminded me of her family too, because they were just, she lost her husband. She had 3 kids. I think one of her other children was injured I think the other 2 survived, I want to say, and one of them was injured. He was okay, but it was just like this, oh my gosh. This whole thing is just so sad.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy because there's so much made about it being like a financial, like poverty in that sense, but it also talks about the emotional poverty and limitations and unhappiness. And I thought it's really interesting to look at it from the perspective of that story about the young widow and her children, because it's like they've already suffered this horrible emotional loss.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they were financially struggling in the absence of her husband. And oh my God.
I'm pretty sure he worked for the railway too. He worked for the railroad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how her husband had died?
I think it was just an accident. I don't know if the book actually said.
They may not know.
Yeah.
A lot of times those type of records, back then, it's hit or miss as far as what we can find. We know that.
And it was a dangerous profession. Like it
absolutely.
wasn't super safe at that point. So
no.
Another interesting thing is, so the workers that were on strike, they wanted higher pay, because it
Oh,
was,
my God.
such a grueling job that they were doing, and it was dangerous, and they weren't giving them that higher pay.
So then that actually really does tie back to kind of what you're saying about poverty. And it's okay. So listen to this. In light of literally what you just said about the strikers, if the reading is about your job, you may feel financially strapped because you're not earning enough to pay the bills. Work-related responsibilities may drain your vitality. Maybe it's time to look for a better job.
Yeah.
All right.
Crazy. And then
Slam that
if,
book shut.
if they would have just paid these people what they wanted, they would have had more people working on, helping to get these trains off the tracks. They would have, been able to get more coal. Like it's just a whole mess of things.
Yeah. The interpretation of that card says it's like you're not using your resources wisely and you're being drained by, a situation that's obviously untenable.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy, all the stuff. And then how they treated the victims afterwards. They didn't give them any money. They didn't do anything really, I don't think, to help them.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's crazy.
That is wild. Because now there would be, some sort of a class action lawsuit and, something like that. There's just no way.
At the very least, like, they would have insurance that would be able to, cover their medical expenses and all of their,
something.
work days lost and maybe
workers' comp.
refund their train ticket. I don't know.
Yeah, good Lord.
I don't know if they got any of that. I don't know.
Wow.
From the book, it sounded like they didn't.
Yeah, it sounds like that's probably not something that they were likely to get from this railroad company or any other source.
Crazy. But yeah, so everyone go read the book. It's I listened to it too, so it was pretty, it went pretty fast. I listened on like 1.5 speed.
Oh, I don't know how you do that.
Because I like want to listen. I do it to podcasts too, because I want to listen to everything. There's so much to listen to.
Oh my gosh. I just could never, I'm a quick reader and I don't mind when something's fast paced, but I just, for the purposes of like note taking for an episode like this, I don't think I could ever do it. I know there's other podcasters that do when they watch like documentaries and stuff like that. It just, if I lose my train of thought for a second, which happens usually every 10 seconds, there's just no time to recover.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to go back and re-listen to it on normal speed, but for the most part, it wasn't too bad. And if you're not note taking, hey.
Yeah, you're just zipping right through.
So yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty sad, very sad. Even sadder than what I did today, but oh. Well, I think we did good. I'm glad we pulled another card.
Me too.
I'm glad we know about being sick. What was that?
I don't know.
Oh, I heard a big boom boom on your end. Mm-hmm. Was it you?
Hold on. No.
Okay.
Babe?
Oh my god.
Babe? Jesus Christ.
What was that? What happened?
Yeah, I heard it too. In my headphones. I couldn't hear it it's my freaking neighbors, dude. Can you believe that shit?
Okay.
They're that loud. Our mic picks it up. There.
I was filming your screen while you were gone just in case anything happened.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God. Good thinking. I'm like, I thought it was Chris. Because I was like, okay, I think he's going to plan to come home probably here pretty soon. Maybe he just didn't realize we were still recording and was like, oh, coming in hot.
Oh, man.
Have a creepy ass day, but not that creepy. Am I right?
Ooh. Have a creepy ass day. See you next Tuesday.
So, for all of you that are listening, if you have any true crime or paranormal stories that you want us to share, maybe with the whole Pacific Northwest.
Yes, we would love to read them on the pod.
Yes, we will read them out loud.
Not just in our heads.
Yes. They don't have to be from the Pacific Northwest if you would like to share. Email us at pnwhauntsandhomicides@gmail.com. It's all spelled out, no special characters. Super duper easy peasy.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Same thing as the email at pnwhauntsandhomicides, all spelled out, no special characters. Please also rate and review us on whatever platform you're listening to, and check out our stories on social media because our meme game is hot.
Agreed.
And if you agree, like Caitlin, you can also find us on Patreon and support the show.
Bitchin'.
This was an unprecedented snowstorm. Oh, this was what am I trying to say? Because I went off script again. These snowstorm conditions were unprecedented. Why can't I say unprecedented? Unprecedented. God.
Unprecedented.